Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Talk Time. I'm your host, Natasha White. Talk Time is a platform dedicated to amplifying the voices of directly impacted people and advocates against the criminal justice system. Our goal is to shed light on the injustices and systemic issues within the prison system and to discuss the reform needed to create change. On this show, we will be bringing you conversations with experts, advocates,
Hey,
and
give me your phone.
those directly impacted by the criminal justice system. We believe that everyone deserves a fair and just system, and we will be exploring various topics such as mass incarceration, police brutality, and the impact of prison on families and communities. Join us as we engage in thought provoking discussions and work towards creating a more equitable and just society. On today's episode, we will speak with Ramar Alston on cognitive dissonance and how it relates to society's views of incarceration. Welcome, Ramar Alston. Without further ado,
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. How are you today?
I'm feeling blessed.
Uh,
Blessed.
I want to first say thank you for joining in. Talk Time is a very much needed platform to get people acclimated with speaking up for themselves and feeling supported in the issues that we deal with. You and I have plenty of conversations, and I must say, they are all beneficial and fulfilling. So let's get to it. Uh, First, let me ask something personal of you. Well, what interests you in spreading knowledge and awareness to people in order to create a better understanding of who we are and what we need?
First and foremost, I would say just my upbringing. Uh, excuse me. My parents. My mom was always teaching me about Black history, different freedom fighters. My dad, rest in peace, was a Navy veteran, and he would like to teach me about a lot of Black facts and just honorable things that Black people had done in order to inspire me to be great. And so I just grew up with that type of environment where knowledge and information was spread. So just naturally became something I did growing up. It's culture.
Okay, so on to today's topic. How does cognitive dissonance influence society's perception of convicted felons in the context of reentry into society? Or why don't do you want to explain exactly what cognitive dissonance is? Because I believe a lot of
Yeah.
people have no idea what it is.
Yes. Yes. So the the dictionary definition for cognitive dissonance is the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as related to like behavioral discussions and attitude changes. So, um, to interpret that, like if you believe something is bad for you, then logically you shouldn't be doing it. But if you're doing it and you still believe that it's bad for you, then those two beliefs they clash,
Mm.
right? So they're inconsistent. They go inconsistent with what you actually believe and what you stand for. So as far as uh, everyday life examples and things that we go through in society, like it's also. Oh wait, I skipped another definition. So another definition for it is when you have been taught something for so long that it becomes uncomfortable for you to accept new information,
Mhm.
right? So, um, from a psychological standpoint, the brain is protecting itself from what it perceives as a threat.
Mhm.
So, new information can become a threat to somebody who's been taught the same thing over and over for so long, no
Right.
matter whether it's fact or not. Just that it's become conditioned in you, it's a natural instinct to protect the body from it, the mind from it, so the brain will naturally go into a defensive mode,
Mm.
right? So now we have criminal justice or criminal reform and prison reform, right?
Right.
Prison reform is change. Reform, first of all, is change.
Mm.
And we can't change the system that's been happening this way for so long because everybody's been conditioned to go along with the system and see the system as a thing that will work.
Right.
So that's the difficulty you face with cognitive dissonance. People who suffer from cognitive dissonance.
Okay, so that goes right into the role that cognitive dissonance plays in perpetuating stigma and bias towards individuals with criminal records.
Most definitely.
Can you expound on that? I got a feeling that the audience can't see me. I don't know what's going on, but
Can't see you. Yeah, you look a little frozen on my end.
do I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking on my end and it looks like a black like, but whatever. You're the one with the information today. I don't even care. Okay, so all right. Again, what role does cognitive dissonance play in perpetuating stigma and bias towards individuals with criminal records? Which goes hand in
um,
hand with reform. You know, people
yeah.
don't believe that uh, people reform or have the right to live as normal citizens after paying their debt to society. So I'm not
Right.
taking it all the way there.
So what happens for me, and this is just my personal experience. I don't want to mislead anybody, but from experience, um, people have been taught or they have a stigma, right, on people who may have been to prison, may have just been arrested, and even just been a liar, right? We say it like a liar, once a liar, always a liar, right? What happens is people have that stigma that once you've done something, you will continually do it.
Right.
You will revert back to it. We have terms like recidivism,
Mhm.
um, repeat offender, you know, and things like that. But to have a system that's created and designed to lead us down the path of recidivism and repeat offenders, and then have prison to have a politician or a, a judge say that they are for prison reform, that would be cognitive dissonance, right? Because you can't reform that system. The system is still still designed to lead us down this path, right?
Mhm.
Those are two clashing beliefs. Those
Mhm.
are two inconsistent belief systems. So that's an example of cognitive dissonance. The system, the
Right.
government helping you or helping us to do it. Our fight has to be ours. We have to be the ones who lead the charge for prison reform.
So in that case, what role can education, like, do you think education and awareness initiatives play a major part in challenging cognitive dissonance and promoting a more inclusive perspective?
Well, I believe that those programs are conducive and imperative to change. But what I also know is that unknowing and understanding what cognitive dissonance is, right? It's a defense mechanism. So
Mhm.
if you come to people who have been marginalized for hundreds and hundreds of years with new information, say you have a new program, a new idea, a new concept for that could change,
Mhm.
you're going to be met with defense and rebuttal and challenge, right?
Right.
Not out of consciousness, subconsciousness. So there's where the challenge comes in. There's a blockage in people being able to receive and internalize that information.
Mhm. How can individuals personally address their own cognitive dissonance then when confronted with the complexities of the prison system and the reintegration process?
Very good question. So now individually, you have to become self-aware.
Right.
You have to become uh, knowledgeable about yourself, about your ways, your habits, your characters, your character flaws, your character defects. Um, you just have to really work on building good habits. Get in the habit of listening, hearing people out rather than rejecting information, right? You have to realize that there's another side. Even though you may have been the person who gone through something, you may have been the person incarcerated, but
Mm,
there's also people who have never been incarcerated. So imagine what their thought process is, right? Take into consideration that your thought process and their thought process are two polar opposites, right?
right.
And that you have to come in, they're mirror opposites rather. They're mirror opposites, not polar opposites, but they're mirror opposites where they mirror and reflect each other, where we're going to reflect uh, our experience of being incarcerated. They're going to reflect their actions are going to reflect them not being incarcerated. So you're going to have two opposing belief systems that are clashing, but can work together. But we, especially the people who have been incarcerated, because we have been the ones that are incarcerated, have to take into consideration first before them. It's on the onus, as they say, the ONUS is on us. The
Right.
responsibility is on us to take it into consideration that they may have not been to prison. They may not have been arrested. They may not have been incarcerated. So they don't see how the laws can affect us or affect everybody. They only see how it affects them. And so if we do it first, if we show the initiative or the gesture of good faith and saying, hey, maybe they didn't, maybe they haven't been incarcerated. So I'm going to allow them to have that voice and understand and try to meet them on the other side and say, hey, did you know that incarcerated people have been through this? Did you
Mm,
know how we are treated this way and that way? And that gives people another perspective,
right.
doesn't necessarily change their perspective, but they're seeing that there are two different sides to the coin. It does help bring forth a more uh, a clearer path for communication.
In the way that this subject relates to my work and with what you just said, as a formerly incarcerated leader, the majority of the people that I work with, coalition based, are not formerly incarcerated. As a matter of fact, there are upper class um, white citizens who have none of the experiences of a formerly incarcerated survivor of just poverty, trauma, things of that nature. So a lot of times it is hard for the connection to not be you know forced, because they don't see the urgency that I see. So this topic itself definitely helps moving forward with just basically doing what I do. I have to coalition build, I have to base build, and I have to be mindful that people are not going to see the issue as important as I do, even though their core focus is here to be here to help. Um, it's been kind of hard, especially when I moved to Virginia, a Commonwealth state. Advocacy here is different. It looks different. It's done differently. I have that New York aggression, and it's sometimes it has been helpful, but for the most part, it has been problematic. Um, so that is why I really wanted to talk about cognitive dissonance. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the smartest knife in the drawer, but I'm not slow. However, this is new to me. A new term, a new way to look at things. And yeah, I just think it's imperative that when we get knowledge and it clicks, like share it.
Share it. Yes.
Share
Yes.
it. So
Each one teach one.
right. So
Each
this
one
is
teach one.
this is even a topic that I would bring to my coalition to discuss, because a lot of times we get stuck in these spaces of reform and the only thing we're focusing on is the mission itself when we have not intimately gotten involved with each other's lives, each other's thoughts, processes, and in each other's experiences to understand why a person may see something the way they do and how you can possibly change that outlook in order to benefit the goal, the mission.
Right.
Um,
And another thing I would like to add, not to
oh,
cut you off, but like to add to that is that when doing reform, well, when doing anything that you do, you have to start with yourself,
mm,
right? So I say that to say when doing reform, a lot of times we don't do the full reforming of ourselves. We may have reformed a behavior, uh, a lifestyle like
mm,
drugs and guns and violence. We might have reformed that, but have we reformed our ways of thinking, our ways of approaching, our ways of understanding? Are we being empathetic, right? Because that's a part of reform, to actually find a way to change within yourself that you can present that same change to others. It doesn't have to be in the same field, but being understanding and empathetic for someone who's an advocate is a great characteristic to have because it brings people closer to you. So it's a great thing to talk about cognitive dissonance in activism, because a lot of times, I mean, I don't do as much activism in the streets as I do on social media, more so because of my personal history, but I'm more so of information because it spreads faster. And, this kind of information, if spread throughout the field of activism, I believe can help bring a lot of change, in the
mm.
world, because it makes, like I said, it makes people more understanding, knowing that maybe the belief that I have, I may be holding on to too much of it, and that's blocking me from drawing the other person in. Not that my belief is wrong or their belief is wrong, but just the fact that I'm holding on to it too tightly
Right.
is not allowing other people to be drawn to me.
I'm sorry. I was listening to you, and this is one of the reasons why I have this podcast. As I was just speaking on, with working with people that do not have our experiences and do not have the passion we have for our wives. Um, they put a lot of things off, and so something important just came across my desk, and I can't address it right now. So I am going to get into another question. Let me find one. I'm very sorry that just happened to me. Okay. So, how do cultural and societal norms contribute to cognitive dissonance when it comes to viewing individuals with criminal records as potential contributors to the society? That's a good one.
So yes, it is. And I feel like as I noticed the pattern to the questions, right? It's going to be the same answer because you know because like the definition states something you have been taught for so long. So
Yeah.
culturally, these things are passed down to us from our parents, from our well, when you go to a church, a mosque, a synagogue,
Right.
from our schools, education systems, our medicines, all of these things contribute to cognitive dissonance because it makes you become accustomed to it for so long that you don't want to hear change.
Right. 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 Right.
So you fear it. you know we fear the change, and we fear something new. We fear what we don't know. We covet the things that are close to us, so that traditionally some of our ways we hold dear to, that we covet them, and they become our hindrance, like our Achilles heel, because we might have, let's say you may have thought that everybody who went to prison comes home and commits the crimes again, or everybody who has committed a crime is dumb or they're uneducated. Now that's going to hinder you in trying to do better or try to grow, because you're going to encounter somebody who has grown after they've been incarcerated, have grown after they've done things over and over. They
Right.
have, they didn't go accustomed to it and get stuck into it. So it's going to hinder your ability to really recognize this and, build some type of connection and camaraderie enough uh, to attain the goal that you have in activism, depending on what your field is or what your
Right.
platform is. So yes, it becomes a problem each step. Just not being open-minded. A lot of us think we're open-minded, but we're open-minded to the things that we
That we
already know.
believe. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I find it exhausting sometimes, and then I realize that it's only exhausting to me because I'm trying to make you see my point of view, which comes from my experience, right?
Mhm.
Um so this is something I'm trying to learn how to get out of. Like, even with today's, normally when I have a guest on my show, the questions, like, I just go through the questions, they answer the questions, we create a dialogue. But with you, it's different because we have a natural form of communication that works for us. So I'm stuck. I want all the questions to be asked, but I'd rather you just talk. you know, I'd rather we just vibe naturally, right? I always use
Yeah.
the word, right?
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Because anything else is a distraction for me. Um, but I kind of feel like some of the things we're fighting, some of the ways of the world that we're fighting, have nothing to do with what how people are taught to think. I believe that's just who they are uh spiritually, like from an inner perspective. You know, I find it hard to believe, and it's been proven that hate uh can be taught, that you know, the suffering of incarcerated people and people that are then released uh by holding them hostage to whatever crime it was they committed or whatever the situation may have been, is just something that is so deeply embedded into some of our society. The forgiveness, the lack of morale, the lack of compassion for the person next to you, whether you know them or not. It's just not. It's just huge. It's a major issue for us. So there are plenty of things that I have thought all my life, or I've been taught, that I don't believe in anymore because I made a choice to see it differently, or I made a choice to admit and acknowledge that this does not work.
Absolutely.
So when I think of the term cognitive dissonance, I think just like any other open or shut aspect in life. Some people just will never get it.
Yeah. Well, you said something that was real important, right? About being taught how to learn, right? A lot of people are not taught how, like they're taught to learn, but they're not taught how to learn. They're not taught that there's a specific process, steps you have to go through, right? And one of the biggest steps that we ignore is rejection, right? And you can't learn with rejection. You can learn from rejection. Like
Mm,
you can get your feelings hurt and you can learn something, you know, but if you reject information, then you'll never grow, because one of these days is going to be vital information that could save your life
right, right.
or others. So, I also want to say, like, society teaches us things whether we want to learn them or not, right? Like once we understand how, like you said, how we learn, right? Children, right? We're all children of the Most High. Even if we're adults, we're still children of the Most High. And every child imitates their atmosphere. Adult children do it less than children,
Mm.
but adults still copy what's around them, just
Right.
a little bit less. And this way of thinking that we have today is a condition. It's not a choice. I just want to keep harping on that, because a lot of people will say, "Well, you have the choice," and people blame everything on white people or the government, but it's because the government took away your choice.
Mm.
When you take away the choice, a lot of the things that we have are just things that we were destined to arrive at. We were put in a box as a project, as an experiment, to see if we would do what we're doing today, if we would fight each other, if we would fight the information. If you took away the culture and took away the language, then you don't know which way is the right way. You're just going to go with whatever feels good, whatever looks good, or whatever you want to. And then you're going to end up back at cognitive dissonance again, because now you're going everywhere with no direction. And the moment you encounter a little bit of discipline, a little bit of structure, you're going to reject it. You're going to lash out. And that's what we see is the condition today with social media, with the internet, with instant gratification, with you can change whatever you want to change. You can be whatever you want to be. If you want to change your gender, if you want to change your size of your body. But one thing they will never let you change is they will never let you change from being Black.
Right. Absolutely.
Because the power of the mind of Black people is just way too strong. Black is infinite,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you start tampering with it, then we get limited, right? We have limited understanding,
Mm-hmm.
limited reach, limited progress we could make. And then now, after you've been conditioned to see everything Black now as negative,
Right.
now you condition yourself to hate yourself. So
Right.
anytime you start talking about knowledge of self, self-help, self-awareness, self-love, any of those things, you're going to find rejection, or less people are going to want to do it. But when it's detriment, when it's harmful to you, smoking, drinking, sex out of wedlock, anything you can name that could be considered negative,
Right.
black cat, black magic, black anything, we're going to naturally just run to it.
A perfect example is I've been looking at the views, right? This stream is streaming on, I don't know if you can see, 6 different platforms, right? We had 2 views, one comment, which was Reggie. But if we were on here talking about Nicki
Twerking,
Minaj or some shit,
twerking, yep, yep.
everybody would be watching, right? And you know why I'm a little perturbed about the bullshit.
No,
And
don't be, don't
this is my
be.
podcast. I can say what I want, right?
No, don't be,
But
because
I
this is,
didn't record this. We had to switch links, so I never pressed record, even though it's on. It's on all of our streaming, like it's in my page or whatever.
mhm.
Just the fact that conversations that we have that are beneficial to us as a whole, not as just formerly incarcerated, not even as just Black people, 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 people are not interested in that.
Mhm.
Not
and
interested.
and let me tell you this, right? This is where another form of cognitive dissonance, right? If we know this, right? If we know that people are this way, we know that 85% of the people on the entire planet, it's not just black people, like you said, it's not just white people, it's all over the globe. 85% of the people on the planet are blind, deaf, and dumb. It would be cognitive dissonance for us to expect them to want to come and listen to this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we know better. We know they don't want to hear this. We know they don't like themselves. They don't want to be better. They don't want greater. And they hate it. Most times when you start talking about this type of stuff, the first thing you're going to hear is, oh, there they go with that black shit.
Right.
As if that's something bad. Right? That's what I mean about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is clashing. You black and you saying, here they go with that black shit. You should be like, yeah, they talking about me. I should be here.
Right. I need to be in this room.
I need to be in this room. Yeah. But no, that's not how it goes. Most people on the planet hate themselves. Not consciously. I don't want you to think I'm saying like you look in the mirror, although there are people who look in the mirror and don't like what they see. They don't like their eyes, they don't like the hair, they don't like the nose, the mouth, they don't like the body. They have to go, and it's not to knock them, it's just that people have a different view. They're not looking at it the way you're looking at it. Right? I was there as a kid sometime. And even as an adult, like I was still an adult before I ever wore a tank top outside. I was like 27, 28 years old, my first time wearing a tank top outside. Because I didn't like my body. I didn't want nobody else to like it. I was working out for my own personal stuff. Like, I called it the bedroom body. It was only in the bedroom that I took my shirt off. Anything else? No. But, and then here I was talking about self-love.
Right.
And I'm talking about self-love, but I don't love what I see in the mirror.
Right.
And it's like I said, it's not just some people who can have information. You can have knowledge. You can have knowledge of self and really not know yourself, right? People don't really dig deep. They take things that are on the surface and whatever it is just is what it is for people. And, some of us, that's not enough. I got to dig a little deeper. I need to know more.
It's never enough for me. And sometimes I feel so out of whack. Like most often if I'm standing in a room, I don't feel like I belong in that room. Not because I'm not enough for them, but they're not enough for me. Like it doesn't feed me mentally. It doesn't. The conversations in the room are most likely not some shit I want to talk about. The everyday lifestyle of the particular people in the room are not necessarily anything I'm interested in. And so that you get stuck in this place like, how do I keep feeding myself? How do I keep feeding myself? And so trust me, my concept of what is actually worth, well, rather the thought process that goes through my head when somebody is talking or when I scroll past something like this, a podcast that's supposed to be informational, depending on the topic, they'll get no views from me either.
Right. See, so they're actually the same, right?
Right, but
it's actually the same. It's just, and that's another thing I would like to say, not to cut you off, Tosh, but I would like to just put this for people who listening, right? A lot of times, the only difference is just where you stand. You could look at something and be like, that's bad. Another person look at that bad thing and think it's good. And it's all about where you stand. The thing is, you got to pick a side.
Yeah.
And you don't get to define what's on that side. These days, people think they get to define what a rat is, or what help is, what change is. If we talk about change or we talk about voting, there's a lot of people who will say things have changed, but the definition of changed is they're no longer the same. And to some people, even though things are the same, things have changed for them. And there's the cognitive dissonance. Like some things you don't get to say is one thing and it's still the other thing. You either got to pick one. You
Right,
got to
right.
pick a side
You gotta pick a
and
side.
just stand on it. When people talk about slang, and recently I learned that when things become sayings and slang, they came from a vibration,
Mhm.
right? That it vibrated like that around the world and people relate. There's a rhythm that we go through, a frequency that we operate on that only only people on your side are gonna feel. People you don't know about it, you don't know why, or you don't know where it comes from, but it's just something spiritual that's inside of us, a spiritual rhythm that vibrates inside of us that we operate on, and
Mhm.
we know it. You feel it, and nobody can tell you, nobody can take it away, nobody can change it. It doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't take a day off. It doesn't say it's not conditional, you know. You only feel it when, you only feel it but, you know, real is real,
Right, right, right. You
right?
can't
Real
contest
is
real.
real.
You can't contest
And
real. The truth is the truth.
that's right. Truth is the truth. And the other side is the other side.
It's fake.
The other side is the other side. A lot of people think you can play. You can play both sides, or you
Right.
can play with people. But when they say the truth always comes to the light,
Hmm.
right? Because we are of the darkness, right? I know this is probably a little bit off topic, but I just want to add this sentence because knowing that we come from the darkness should take away the fear of walking into the light,
Right, right, right.
right? And a lot of people, like we were saying earlier, when you don't know it, you fear it. You fear what you don't understand. So a lot of times with racism and when it comes to people incarcerated, like we said, if you've never been to jail before, you've never been to prison before, you don't understand. So when I'm saying something, it's like I'm speaking a different language. And now, because you've never been there, your fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone and listening to what I have to say or what the incarcerated individual has to say or
Right.
hearing their point of view. And that hinders our growth by a lot.
We have uh 6 minutes before our segment is up, but I have a few questions. It You do a lot of educating, via social media, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. What would you, if you had a platform like this, would you utilize it to its fullest potential?
To expose potential what?
Would you utilize it to its fullest potential? Like, would you be
Oh,
able to every whether it be every day. There's people on Black USA, so Black USA News Network. It's a lot of us on this network.
yeah.
And we also have BeMore.com, and then we have the I Am the Black Wall Street. So there's people on here all day. So right now my segment is running. There's probably other people's segment running at the same time on the Black USA News channel. However, those people have the reach and the patience and the knowledge to come on a platform of this nature and do them. Would you be able to do that? Would you be able to dedicate even if it's just an hour a week?
I think I could. I think I could. The thing with me though is that I am what you would refer to as a radical, a revolutionary, right? And my type of thinking is not for like I want to say grassroots. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? Like my type of thinking is more underground.
Yeah, but that you're frozen, or
No,
you?
yeah, that's why I said I can, but the limitation for
Yeah.
me, speaking uh, my standpoint, my experiences, So, for instance, you have like people like Kevin Samuels, right? Or somebody like Dr. Umar, right? Or somebody like uh Farrakhan, right?
Mhm.
So they're gonna talk about their organizations and things that they recruiting people to do for educational purposes, right? My educational purposes ain't for educational purposes.
Right.
My education is to get a move. You understand what I'm saying? And you don't want to put that
Let me tell
on
you something. But
on a platform.
this is what you don't know about grassroots. Uh, so in my network of the Unlock the Box campaign, which is national, we're in 20 states. I'm the only representative that's ever had more than one. I'm actually on state 3. I have 2 at a time because I am their biggest, what they call disruptor. So, even with you being a radical, like I'm a radical too, just on a different level, just on a different topic, where you're radically black. Education wise, as a man, as a black man, and you speak a lot of empowerment into the black man and women. I'm very radical about prison reform. Like I'm the biggest disruptor there is. I go to every rally and take over. I don't care who it is. Please, I thrown mock coffins over the city hall gate. Just they locked us out. I just threw the whole thing over there. Like, yeah, listen, you're gonna get this, right? But I asked you that question because I'm trying to learn how to engage people in my platform and not, uh, you know, focused wise and be focused. I believe that we have a lot we can bring to the forefront of multiple issues, right? I also believe that BlackUSA.News is a platform that all Black people should try to utilize. And I don't think because you're radical that you're any different than the rest of us. I think, as a matter of fact, we got a few radicals in this group. The founder, Donnie Glover, is one of them. Oh, so maybe I should have asked you, have you ever been on this platform as a viewer besides with me? Because that
No,
is no.
no, I haven't. No, not I can't say consciously, not with the intent. Like I probably been scrolling and
Mhm.
somewhere and saw it, and I've logged in and chimed in. But the thing also, so what I want to, um, so this is what we're talking about cognitive dissonance. So, um, when you have two different, you're radical in different ways, right?
Mhm.
Then you have to be on two different waves, WAVES, right? Two different WAYS has to be on two different WAVES.
And it is like, so when I ask you that, I don't mean with me.
No, no. So every time I say it,
Uh-huh.
you come back with something, right?
Okay.
That's gotta internalize because you can't get it right now. You ain't gonna get it in this conversation,
Okay. Yeah.
right? You only could get it by the time passing on and you seeing it.
Seeing it.
So I'm war ready. You understand what that means?
Yeah.
I'm war ready. So you wouldn't want that on. You understand what I'm saying? Like you don't want to incite wars or riots or things televised.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Those things.
Let's get
Yeah.
off that
No,
topic.
no, no. I'm just saying. No, this is educational. No,
Yeah.
educational. Like so. What I mean is this helps because some people, right? Everybody, we got to fight together,
Mm.
and everybody has a different way that they have to fight,
Right.
and you
Right.
got to fight your way,
Your way. Right.
right? And there's some of us who are Christian, right? They got to pray, right? Christians are always praying, Jesus take the wheel. The Muslims are supposedly peaceful, right?
Mm.
So those are the people who have to calm us down when we need to be calm, right? But then you got people of the streets. Those are the people who are supposed to be rioting and looting when the riots happen.
Yeah.
You can't have your grandmother out there rioting and looting.
And your grandmother's in the house praying.
Your grandma's in the house
Outside
praying, right?
riding. I get
Right, right. It's supposed to be some young kid who, I'm
it.
angry,
It's like a
you
lane.
know,
It's like everybody
yeah.
has a
Everybody's
lane.
a lane, right,
Yeah,
right.
I get it.
So, my lane is just dropping the information, right? Because I know I can't do that if I do that, and this is from experience. If I do that online, you got the powers that be that want to block you. They want to call you all types of things. They want to make you the bad guy.
Mhm,
When all I'm doing is spreading the information
mhm.
and
The
responding, and I'm
facts.
responding to to the treatment that you have given me and my ancestors. This is just a reaction,
Right.
right? But I'm gonna get painted as a bad guy for having a reaction. So, as being emotionally mature, I know I can't have these reactions online, on social media. You understand? I have to conduct myself because I'm this way. Somebody else who's not a war ready person, they can go on there and you can go back and forth, you can build, you can exchange ideas.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. I done this for the last 30 something years.
Right.
Since I was 17, 18. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm grandpa now. because but I'm still grandpa. When you're ready to go
Yeah,
out kamikaze,
I'm
call
ready.
me.
Call me.
I'm ready.
I need to save my energy for that.
Yeah, yeah, I need to save my energy for that. I can't with the people because, you know, I'm in a different lane. That's for the other people who just now getting there, who didn't have these discussions for 20 years. I have these discussions, all these arguments. Oh, another thing I want to say, because I missed this part. You were saying that it was new to you. Cognitive dissonance is pretty new to me as well. Like I just learned this like just before the pandemic,
Mhm.
right? I think it was, yeah, just before the pandemic. Somebody pointed out to me that was explaining that I was doing it, and I was caught up in, you can do it even in positivity,
Yeah.
right? I'm caught up in the Nation of Islam and mathematics and not everything 100% right and exact, true and living God, that I didn't want to hear anything about
Right.
uh anything else that didn't coincide or didn't, and then come to find out some of the things I didn't want to hear, I shouldn't, I knew, but but it turns out though it was some other things that I was missing,
Right.
because I was just so stuck in this one way of thinking,
Mhm.
that it blocked me from at least hearing. So now this elevated me because now I could still be stuck, but people would never know because I never shoot down nobody's uh, information, nobody's suggestion, nobody's perspective. I'm
Right.
always like never miss a day. I'm like, My favorite response to everything is, oh, oh.
All right.
Once you then
Right.
that means I just learned something. You
Just
just
learn
taught me
something.
something.
Light bulb, light
Yeah,
switch.
light bulb went off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, let's say it's a racist and he's calling me the N word. Oh, I didn't know. Well, what can he say after that? And more N words, spear chucker. Oh, I didn't know. It just takes away the power from
Right.
everything.
Disarm them. Disarm them
Disarmed them. That's a fact.
effortlessly.
Effortlessly. With one word. Oh.
All right, guys, listen, our time is up because of course I need to go save the world. And I'm pretty sure our guest Ramar wants to go back to the park and do what he does for him, right? We want to thank you for coming on today, Ramar. I appreciate your presence. I always appreciate the knowledge and the exchange. This is the end of today's episode of Talk Time. Viewers, share. When you see it, share. And I will be sending it to your individual pages. Stay great. Peace.
Peace and blessings.